Hey team, Miguel and I had met earlier today and talked about this issue based on some feedback that I got from the team, which brought up some really great concerns about performance of the page and overcomplicating the runner's page a bit. I also met with Hayana, who's my design manager, to review like where we should go next for the MVC. So my proposal for the MVC now is to really simplify things so that again we're not overcomplicating, and then we can use instrumentation to learn a little bit more about what if we need to make iterations in the future, how we should do that, and then we can potentially bring in more data as I kind of was trying to support in the beginning, but now I'm no longer supporting that. Okay, so the proposal now is to remove the expandable rows. So, but I'd still like to group the data about the runners that are in a group so we can summarize them. I know that right now we don't have summaries of the statuses, I believe, or it's going to be really complicated. So we can talk about how we present the statuses in the beginning for the MVC. Maybe, like we said before, maybe we just take whatever one has contacted GitLab most recently. I think that again can cause confusion. So ideally, I'd like to see this as our MVC. But again, I understand that we need to break this down iteratively. The other thing that I've changed is I've moved the number of runners that are in the group to a badge, and then when you hover over it, it says 2 runners in this group. I think that makes it a little bit more obvious and distinct, makes it more distinct from the other ones. And then we're still summarizing the data here, like however many upgrades are available of the whole group that's in there. And then we're only presenting last runner created whatever day ago. So then the numbers up here, I also wanted to bring up the total numbers. Those include what we're calling runner managers that are in those groups. So I have 11 runners right now, even though I don't have 11 items in this table. I have 11 if we count up all the totals, plus the individual runners that are in here. I think that makes the most sense because those runners are still alive and potentially running jobs. So I do still think that we should add them up into the totals. Then when you click on a runner group, in the details page, we'll add a new, this is the same thing, but we'll add a new value called runners. And I brought this icon in just so it brings a little bit of a connection of what we were showing in the table to here. We'll add a popover explaining what people are seeing. I'm going to ask Fiona to look this over, and I would hope that we can link out to documentation because I tried to simplify in the best way that I could about what's going on here, but I think people are probably going to be a little confused at first. So if we have further documentation about why we did this and stuff, that's what I would hope to link out to. But then if you show the details of the runners in that group, you'll get a breakdown of their statuses. We'll include the system ID, version, IP address, executor, architecture, platform, and last contact. The only row, or yeah, the only column that I would want there to be sorting on is last contact because for our edge case, which Pedro shared with us, there could be 76 runners in a group, and it's most likely that a lot of those are stale. So if we're able to sort by last contact, it's probably our easiest way of showing which ones have contacted GitLab first so that people have those as the most important ones. We should limit the amount that we're going to show here, and I would expect that there's pagination on this table. So we can talk about that as well, but I think you all know better than I do about how many we should limit in this table performance-wise before we switch to the next page. And then the next thing here is the jobs page. So we'd add the system ID column into this so that admins get an idea of which runner manager is running each job. And then the last thing here is when you delete a runner group, you should get a confirmation modal that you're deleting more than just one runner. So however many runners are in that group. We use this for bulk delete today, so I'd expect we show the same message for this. Okay, so I think that's it. I did want to point out some other things that I added here, like feature usage metrics. I really would like to add instrumentation to the accordion in the runner details page that expands and collapses the table of all of the runners. I think if we're able to add tracking on that and we see that there's a high usage, we could consider reevaluating where those details go. I think we should also add instrumentation to the delete button for each runner in the group. So again, that's within the accordion area, so I'll bring this back up. This button, I think this will help us track how often people are using that. If it's not used and people are just relying on the automatic deletion that we're going to add into here, then we could get rid of it. We don't have to support it. And then the last thing here was I'd like to, I don't know if we already do this, but I'd like to monitor the number of visits to the detail pages and see if it increases after this feature is added. That might also give us more insight into why or what people are trying to do with groups of runners. If they're coming to the details page more often, they're likely also expanding this. So I think that would help us figure out the path that users are taking and what they're doing in the UI when they're dealing with groups of runners. And then I'm hoping that we will still no longer see a bunch of runners clogging up the UI, which was reported in the Kubernetes issue. And then also, I still want admins to be able to get the information if there's a problem going on with a runner from the list view. So that's why, again, I was like pushing to summarize this. But if they need more information, we still give that to them by drilling down. So I feel pretty confident in this proposal still, and I think simplifying it was the best path forward. So I think I answered everything. Yeah. Thank you again for all of the feedback and discussion around this. And I think we are going to land in a good place for the MVC. So just help me figure out how best to break this down, because I know that there's still a lot of changes and we can go from there. Thanks.